Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Joe Hindy, the Android Authority app guy, and welcome back to Android Apps Weekly. It's also New Year's, so Happy New Year's, everybody. This is episode number 172, so let's get started. Square Enix has put a ton of its games on sale. This is great news because their games are usually pretty expensive. On the block are 7 Dragon Quest games, most of their Final Fantasy titles: Chrono Trigger, Adventures of Mana, Secret of Mana, Chaos Ranks 3, and Romancing Saga 2. Most of these are great games and faithful ports from their originals. Snapchat purchased an Israeli startup called Simagine. The price was between $30 and $40 million. The popular opinion is that Snapchat plans on delving further into the augmented reality space, and this company is going to help them do it. For those who don't know, Simagine is a company that lets other companies show how their products look in the real world with virtual devices. We're just gonna have to wait and see how that turns out. We released our official lists for the best Android apps, best Android games, and most controversial apps and games. Our pick for the best Android app was Chroma Keyboard, the best game was Crashlands, and finally the most controversial app or game was Pokemon Go. The lists are live on Android Authority and on YouTube if you want to see all of the selections yourself. Nintendo has officially put up Super Mario Run on Android for pre-registration. That means the game's release is fairly imminent. It had a good run in its first week on iOS, although things are cooling off now. You'll also get a notification when the game is out to the public. We're all but certain that it will be out before the end of January 2017. While we're on the topic, it turns out that Super Mario Run is having problems getting people to pay for the game. A report this week showed that only about 1 to 2% of those who downloaded the game actually bought it. It has also been free-falling through the charts as the game's hot release starts to cool down. At this point, let's just wait and see what happens when it comes to Android. Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location is the latest game in the popular horror franchise. It brings back a number of mechanics from previous games that help make those games popular, and yes, that does include the classic jump scares. There are also some additional things added into the game to make it a little more rounded. A ton of people have already been diving in to find the hidden meanings of the story behind the game. It's pretty good, relatively inexpensive, and there are no in-app purchases. Pigment is a coloring book application that's aimed at adults, but thankfully it's also pretty good for kids. The base application includes 300 free pages for you to color, and you can buy more through in-app purchases. It features tap-to-fill mechanics, and you have access to 8 different coloring tools. You'll be able to use your finger or a stylus if you have one. It has some crashing issues, but we didn't experience them, so your mileage may vary. It's worth a shot if you're into these types of things. Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic is a port of the original Rollercoaster sim from PC. This version comes with both Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 and Rollercoaster Tycoon 2, so you're essentially getting 2 games for the price of one. Altogether, there are 95 scenarios to play through, controls that have been redone for touchscreens, and tons of nostalgic value. It's suffering through some early release bugs, but overall it's been a positive release. There are also no in-app purchases. FastKey Launcher is a new launcher that claims wicked fast app search. It accomplishes this feat by having a keyboard that's baked right into the home screen so you can immediately start searching. You can also make phone calls and perform other tasks directly from the home screen. Otherwise, it's a simple and light launcher that seems to work pretty well. Some have reported bugs, so do beware of those, but at the very least, the app is entirely free. The Walking Dead Season 3 is the latest game in Telltale's critically acclaimed The Walking Dead franchise. It continues the storyline as per the comic books, and there are even throwbacks to characters and events that happened in the first 2 seasons. It follows a lot of the same mechanics as the previous games, and it also has similar graphics. It's $4.99, and you can buy additional seasons as in-app purchases, or you can buy the season pass and get every episode. There are some early issues that we're sure going to be fixed eventually, otherwise it's pretty good. For even more Android apps and games news, updates, and releases, don't forget to check out this week's newsletter, which is linked in the video description below. There you'll find a ton of information that we didn't have time for here. You can use the form in the written companion, which is also linked in the video description below, to sign up for the newsletter, and we'll deliver it to your door every Sunday. Also, don't forget to check out the Android Authority app for even faster updates. And that about does it for this one, folks. If you want to keep watching, we have our best Android apps, games, and most controversial apps and games lists linked up there on the screen and in the video description below. Don't forget to check out that newsletter and keep it tuned to Android Authority because we are your source for all things Android. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a wonderful New Year's.